Today I'm going to be comparing the Toniebox and the Yoto Player. We're going to talk about which one of these is better for a younger child versus an older child, which one's better for a toddler, what kind of skills they might need to operate one of these toys, which one I think will grow with your child better, and which one I think is just the best overall value. I'm going to show you which one of these players could cost you over $1,000.
Ooh, that sounds expensive.
While the other one costs just a fraction of that. By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly which one that you're going to wanna buy that's gonna fit your kid, and I'm also gonna let you know which one is my personal choice for my kids. Willow, which one do you like the best? So let's go ahead and check them out. Let's start with just this Toniebox in general. It is really a toy first. It's soft, it's squishy, it's designed to be hugged, thrown, hit. And the key to making this toy work are these magnetic figurines. So they're all magnetic and they stick to the top of the Tonie player, and that's how you start playing the songs.
What kind of animal are you?
The story, the music, etc. So both of these are magnetic. And you can see it has these little ears here on top. These are the volume controls and how you actually switch the Toniebox on. This is the volume down, this is the volume up.
Hey,
can you turn down the volume, Willow?
They love to play. Like a pig in a puddle.
Perfect. So there is, whenever you're doing the volume up and down, the interactive ring on this one shows you how loud or soft the volume is. And on the Toniebox one, you're just clicking and then there's an audio cue that lets you know as you're turning up and down the volume. To change the track on the Toniebox, you have to hit the side of the box. You kind of have to hit it hard. Can you change the song? So that is to go forward and backwards. You hit the sides of the box. You can also tilt the box, and that rewinds and fast forwards the content. Something different that they did on the Toniebox 2 that they don't have on the Toniebox 1. The Toniebox 1 has its own little charging hub that it sits on top, and you can see it plugs in here. That charger does not work for this Toniebox 2. They switched it to a USB-C charger. And that's literally it. And then this part is supposed to go into your wall. Like honestly, when I plug this in, I can't even reach the ground. Okay, so now let's talk about the hardware on the Yoto Player. Original Yoto Player, and this is the Yoto Mini. The controls for the Yoto Player are much more intuitive, in my opinion, to grow with your child. I don't really love the smacking aspect of the Toniebox. So for the Yoto Player, this is the volume control over here, volume up, volume down.
Hotter than a fantasy.
This side can scroll through the different tracks, and I like that it has a visual cue, like to know where I am on the card. Which one do I want to play? And there's little pictures that go along with each track. So this is a Yoto Mini, and the controls are the exact same as the large Yoto Player. You can click through tracks here. The volume control is on this side. And you can see it still also has a little visual widget there to show you what track that you're on. With the Toniebox, there's no visual way to see where you're at through the card. The other thing that the Yoto is a little bit stronger in as far as hardware-wise is the battery life. So the original Yoto Player has a 24-hour battery life whenever it's fully charged. It also uses a USB-C charger, and the cable that they send you is a reasonable length to be charged. The Yoto Mini has 14 hours of battery life on a full charge, and it's also charged by a USB-C charger. So when you're comparing battery life, even the Yoto Mini has a longer battery life than the Toniebox, which is only a 10-hour battery life on a full charge. Now let's talk about the apps and like the ease of use for the parent. The Tonies has an app that you can set certain things like a volume control. The new Toniebox 2 has a nightlight that you can set. I think it can help you build a routine for your child using the Toniebox 2. And all of that is also available on the Yoto Player. the original Yoto. You can control a lot of things from the app on the Yoto Player. As soon as you put one of these Yoto cards, into your player, it automatically saves it in your library. I think this also is true for the Tonies box as well. It automatically saves that content into your library, and you are able to scroll your library on the Yoto app, find the card that you want to play, and you can play that card pretty much anywhere that has a Bluetooth capability. I can also control the volume from my phone. The Toniebox and the Yoto Player have the ability to set a volume limit for for the players, so then your child cannot just blare it at max volume. You can set a limit. However, I believe that the Yoto is the only one out of the two that you're able to literally real time control the volume down or up while your child is listening to it. You can also play any card in your library through your phone or on the speakers in your car if you have CarPlay or whatever. So the Yoto app is like a little superior in my opinion as far as the functionality and what I'm able to control while my kids are listening to and using the player. There are some software glitches that have been reported with the Toniebox 2. People are having trouble connecting it to Wi-Fi. Personally, I did notice it takes a little bit of time for it to download and start playing. Something else that the Yoto Player has that the Toniebox does not is more free content.
I'm all out of money!
A podcast called Yoto Daily, and it's a little daily podcast that Yoto has that has daily events and history and just fun little games and quizzes and stuff for kids to play. Just a cute little, almost like a kids news podcast in a way. And then secondly, you have the free Yoto Radio, which just plays random kid-friendly songs on the radio. All of these options are also available on the Yoto Mini. You can listen to Yoto Daily or the radio. Love that. Sometimes I do put on, and I will say you can set whatever time you want your bedtime to be, and automatically the Yoto Radio will switch to a nighttime version, which is a more calming, soft radio station to get your kids to wind down at night. Another difference content-wise for the Toniebox versus the Yoto Player, I found that there are certain Tonies that have songs from different movies that my children love and enjoy, like Frozen, for example. The Frozen Tonie will place it on and it'll be playing the song from the movie, but it's a different singer. It's not actually Idina Menzel or whoever singing the song. It's just some other random person singing it, so it doesn't sound exactly the same.
Let it go, let it go.
That's not true for all of the songs, but I have found there are certain Disney songs wherever I guess Tony's cut corners or didn't want to pay as much for the actual soundtrack, and so it's a different singer. So if your child is very specific, or maybe you don't want to listen to someone else sing it, I think sometimes their singing is not the best, so it can be kind of annoying. The Yoto Player every single soundtrack that I bought from them has been the actual true singers. I think I had the Encanto one out here a second ago, but it's the actual singers from Encanto. So a little differences there. There are some stories and stuff that I prefer on the Tonies, but overall, I really love the Yoto Player. Okay, so let's talk about the toddler test. This is the section that matters most for frustration levels, both yours and your toddler's. So I would say a child who is under 2 years old is gonna have a much easier time working with a Toniebox. And that's because in order to play the Yoto Player, your child needs more advanced fine motor skills in order to place this card into the slot. Now, it's not hard by any means. It will just take more practice. My daughters have been under 2 years old and using a Toniebox, but it did take time and they needed some assistance in the beginning with getting this card in the card slot. They also needed a little bit of help, understanding these buttons. Whereas the Toniebox, all you're doing is simply placing a Tonie on top. And it will start playing. That takes far less fine motor skills than placing this card into the slot. Also, the physical aspect of it, even though I don't love it, from a parent perspective, it might be easier for a toddler to understand how to just smack something or tilt it, because it's more physical and larger motor skills required for those things than the fine motor skills needed for the Yoto box, for the Yoto Player. So as I mentioned, the Yoto Player is a definite winner for older toddlers. So I would say anywhere 2 to 3 and older. Inserting this card does take some fine motor skill, some extra fine motor skill, a pincer grasp, as well as orienting the card to go the correct direction to fit in. This gives them a little bit more autonomy in the end without the violence of hitting a player. Moving on to money.
Show me the money!
And we're going to talk about the true price of each player, because buying the player is one thing. You can't operate a lot of these players just on their own. You have to also consider what it's going to cost to buy the figurines and the cards and the accessories. I would say they're both relatively the same price range for each. So the Tonies operates on a collectible model. A single Tonie costs about $18 to $20, and it usually has about 30 to 50 minutes of content. If you want 100 hours of stories for your child, you're gonna be spending over $1,000 worth of little figurines. You're basically paying for the Disney license and the hand-painted toy. Yoto operates on a media model. Cards are generally $7 to $12, but here's the hack. Yoto Club. You can get a card with 8 hours worth of content for about $10. The cost per minute is vastly cheaper. Now there are some cards from Yoto Player which are more expensive, and usually it's not just the singular card that costs more, it's that they're giving you a collection of cards. So for example, the Chronicles of Narnia series. They even have Harry Potter, I believe. They have a Harry Potter collection of cards. And obviously, since you're getting multiple cards and it's a lot of content in one, those are gonna cost more. I would say somewhere around $30 to $50. But for per card, you're getting a lot of content. So if you're on a budget, hands down, the Yoto Player is gonna win out. You're not gonna spend as much getting cards for your child as you would spending money on the Tonie figurines for your child. Final recommendation, which one should you buy? Here's my final recommendation based on your child's age. If you're buying for a baby or a younger toddler, I would say like 2 and under. You may want to go with the Toniebox because it's more like a toy. And here's why. They may be able to figure out how to use it a little bit quicker than they would the Yoto Player initially. It's also softer. We have the silicone case on ours, but it's, still pretty heavy compared to, you can hear the difference. This one is more soft and bouncy. Yes, it's more expensive long term, but the younger demographic will love the little magnetic characters. And my tip would be, at this point, it's not really necessary to get the Toniebox 2. I'm not seeing like a huge difference in functionality with the Toniebox 2 versus the Toniebox 1. So I would say if you can find a Generation 1 Toniebox at a discount, it's cheaper and has fewer glitches at this point in time than the Toniebox 2. If your child is approaching 3, then you're gonna want this device. You're gonna want the Yoto Player or the Yoto Mini, because this is gonna last until 8, 9, 10 years old. Your child will still likely enjoy and want to use the Yoto Player. The library content is much deeper. Like I mentioned before, they have Harry Potter, Chronicles of Narnia. It's also much cheaper to create a collection of content because the cards are cheaper. And I actually love the pixel display. I find it much easier to navigate and know where I am as far as the content on the card. And I feel like the Yoto Player also really respects the child's intelligence and it's able to grow with them, whereas maybe a 9, 10-year-old won't want to use this Tonie Player anymore because it does have a little bit more of a juvenile feel to it. So many moms, like me, will probably end up with both of these players, to be honest with you. You have the Toniebox for the little kid phase and then the Yoto for a more long term. But honestly, I have a 2.5-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we use the Yoto Player like 3 times as much as we use the Toniebox. I feel like we barely use the Tonies at all these days. I just enjoy the cards a little bit more on the Toniebox. That one, the purple one, okay. Willow, which one do you like the best?
I like that one.
You like that one the best?
Yes.
All right. My 2.5-year-old said that she likes the Toniebox better, and my 4-year-old likes the Yoto Player.